Hello, Lou Hamilton from Audible Elegance here in Cincinnati, Ohio. We are located a couple doors north of the original Montgomery Inn on Montgomery Road and across the street from Montgomery Cyclery. We have a website. I do a monthly blog, and please enjoy that. And we do work on X, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Well, it used to be called Twitter. And so we do different things on that. And there we are. Today I want to talk about some of the most interesting advice that I've received over my career. And I had the distinct pleasure in the very early stages of Audible Elegance of meeting the gentleman who was responsible for the creation of acoustic suspension speakers. His name was Roy Allison, and he was an extraordinary gentleman. And Roy was very accomplished in acoustics, and we got into a discussion about setting up speakers, particularly with bass in focus. And he had a rather interesting solution. Some of you may be able to do it. It'll take some work. Obviously, you've got some speaker cable involved. But depending upon the size and the shape of the room, and this is a cross section, you will have what are known as standing waves. And these standing waves represent dips or valleys to the sound pressure of various different frequencies. Oftentimes it's the bass. And Roy's solution and advice was very simple. Now I'm going to look at the room from the top. So you're wondering where to put speakers. You know, do I have them here? Do I have them here? You know, Roy said, simply go to your listening position, place the speaker there, and then walk down at the end of this room and listen to it. Then you're going to be playing the standing wave to your benefit or trying to keep it out of the picture altogether, because this works in both directions. We have a room here where we have a standing wave, actually caused not by the shape of the room, but because we have large panels of glass and they resonate very effectively at one dead frequency. So we have to position ourselves where we're trying to get essentially neutral as opposed to a peak or valley. Now this leads me on to some other people and the general placement of speakers themselves. This was learned through the great ears and talent of Jeff Rowland when we sold the Jeff Rowland equipment. And we did a show with him featuring Teal CS5 speakers. Now the general recommendation for Teal speakers was typically about 3 feet out and obviously not the same amount, but roughly 3 to 4 feet, same thing here, as the position for the Teal speakers. A lot of manufacturers will give you what they consider to be guidelines. Now, when Jeff came here, he listened to the system and he goes, if you don't mind, would you let me alone and let me work on the system for a couple hours, and I'll invite you back in. Well, we did that. When we came back, well, they're more like this. It was a mere about 12 inches from the back wall and 17 from the side. And the speakers were absolutely gone. So please understand that a manufacturer will start you out with a recommendation of how they found it generally works. But then your room plays into this and how you have to set up. Now, when we sold Linn speakers, we had a different problem. Again, we have a room shaped like this, and no matter where we put the speakers, at that time they were the Sera 9s, we could not get them to sound decent at all. no matter what we did. And so eventually the thought came up, let's change walls. And so they went into non-traditional placement on the long wall, and they worked beautifully. So don't get stuck that you always have to use the short wall, because you may be chasing an impossible situation. Don't discount the long wall. Now, obviously, it depends upon this depth and your seating position and your arrangement of your rooms. Sometimes you have to use that surface because the way the rest of the room is laid out. And I've already talked about in an early article about, the icon to the Stone Age, which is the fireplace, and the havoc that can cause. But sometimes the fireplace is over here, so it's not an issue at all, per se. But when you're setting up speakers, this was a tip from Roy of how to do it. And Jeff showed me that, okay, we can use that as a starting point, but that doesn't control how I set up a system. And Lynn showed me that sometimes where you want to be is going to be a failure no matter what you try. So change the equation. There you are, speaker setup, enjoy.